FC Barcelona, it's about way more than just football here. It's a way of life. Religion. Not just here in Catalonia, but all across Europe and around the world. 26 La Liga titles, 31 Copa del Reys, 13 Super Copas and 5 Champions Leagues. FC Barcelona, they've won it all. Their players have won a record 12 Ballon d'Ors. But recent times have been somewhat turbulent for this giant of world football.
On the eve of the new Spanish football season, after a summer of financial sagas and abundant spending,
Barcelona are still yet to register any of their new summer signings with the league.
Where do we start with Barcelona?
Go back 20, 30, 40 years, Barcelona's a club laced with political fractions, you know, infighting within the club, outside the club, within the media. But I guess the kind of situation they're in now is almost a result of their success, and that sort of forced the club to overspend, really.
The fact that Real Madrid keeps winning the Champions League puts pressure on Barcelona, but quite clearly they did not want to abandon that part they were in the top of European football.
All these, you know, super clubs, Bayern Munich, Paris Saint-Germain in France, Juventus in Italy, when they're winning so much, it becomes something that's expected.
Well, everything starts in 2017 when Neymar left FC Barcelona.
220 million euros was a huge amount of money, and there was a lot of debate about the time about what Barca should do with that money, whether they should invest it, whether they should not, because obviously when clubs know you've just sold a player for 220 million, prices go up.
Lots of signings, very expensive ones.
Philippe Coutinho and Antoine Griezmann, two of the most expensive signings of Barcelona history.
You know, you still had Lionel Messi, you still had Luis Suarez, you still had, you know, players of a good age, but they spent, and then they kept on spending because that didn't work.
The wages were increasing, but the titles weren't coming.
We know that this world is always about short term, and fans care about what happens the next day.
Barca have not just stopped winning, they've also lost Lionel Messi, who's the greatest player in their history. And, you know, it's been difficult for supporters to, you know, get excited. That all came to a head with the pandemic, and since then they've been fighting to stay above water, really. Basically, Spanish clubs have to adhere to slightly stricter financial restrictions than the other European leagues, which is basically their revenue minus their outgoings and their debt repayments.
Many will tell you that they were unable to pay wages or that they punched it out of their weight. Income-wise, it's not true. Under Bartomeu, the previous chairman, they had a budget of 1 billion euros. So with that, they can pay everything. Pandemic comes, 2 years where no money comes in, huge debts are going to happen.
It was like getting undressed all of a sudden. And all the problems were exposed in a way that was very, very difficult to solve. It was almost impossible.
Years of overspending and the pandemic have left Barcelona struggling to compete with Europe's top clubs. To keep Barca competitive, Juan Laporta felt he had little option than to roll the dice and sell club assets. Enter Las Palancas.
Las palancas. I'm so fed up with the palancas.
It doesn't quite work in English, but it does. It's basically pulling levers, pulling palancas.
We're selling parts of the club. That's exactly what they're doing. Some of it forever. Bartomeu divided the club in 4 businesses that could then eventually be sold to others and bring income that way.
The first one was in June to ensure they didn't end the last financial year with losses. They sold 10% of their television rights. They then pulled a second one, which was 15% of the television revenue to the same company, and they then sold 2 separate stakes of Barca Studios, over 700 million. It was quite dramatic, really. It was on the eve of the season. They hadn't registered any of their new signings. They hadn't registered Christensen, Lewandowski, none of them.
Like when you are in Las Vegas and you are playing your cards and you are believing strong in yourself and you decide, okay, I'll go that way. If you win it all. But if you lose, you're going to lose it all.
Pan para hoy, hambre para mañana. It means bread today, but tomorrow hungry. You are going all in on the short term, but tomorrow you won't have all this part of the cake. Every every year, next years, your rivals will have all the cake, and for you, a part of the cake will be missing because you already sold it.
Having the right leadership is critical. And after Pep Guardiola, one of his students would be the best possible person to lead the future.
Xavi, for me, he's like Indiana Jones. He's like the archaeologist that has to go there and to find what was in the past. And what's ironic is that you had all that invented by you.
It kind of felt like, you know, a chance to reset the club, to go back to its identity, to its philosophy. And it would kind of feel like a waste if they then didn't back it.
Barcelona have gambled for immediate on-the-pitch success, but with competition across Europe stronger than ever, what happens if that doesn't come?
To answer this question, once again, we have to wait. Because if in 2 years Barcelona has not been able to compete, it will be a top fail.
Barcelona have gone through moments in history where it seems like it was going to disappear, and they survived all that. It is just another obstacle for what it is, a historic club.
In Catalan, we say caixa o faixa, it means all or nothing. You have no space for any more mistake. As always, it depends on the ball. At this club, more than in other clubs, the ball going into the goal. All problems are solved if it happens.